Y'all, she exposed everything. And what happened next didn't just shake the Bravo universe, it detonated it. This wasn't a reunion. This wasn't a conversation. This was the kind of onstage execution that turns a broken marriage into a national spectacle, a moment so violent, so emotionally raw, that even the cameras looked scared to keep rolling. Because tonight, Kandi Burruss didn't walk onto that stage as ex-wife. She walked in as a woman carrying proof sharp enough to slice through every lie Todd Tucker ever built around her life. The lights were blinding, the cast froze mid-breath, and Todd? He walked toward her like a man headed to his own funeral, shaking, begging, whispering apologies that sounded like the last words of someone who already knew the truth was coming for him. He wasn't ready. Nobody was. Because in one slow, chilling motion, Kandi reached into her bag and pulled out a black phone. Not a prop, not a threat, a weapon. A weapon filled with secret tapes Todd never thought she'd find. Tapes of lies, tapes of betrayal. Tapes of him laughing about the marriage he destroyed, with Portia, with other women, with anyone who'd let him whisper in the dark. And when she connected that phone to the mic, the entire studio went silent. Not dramatic TV silent, graveyard silent. Even Portia, sitting just feet away, looked like the guilt was crawling up her spine, like she wished she could disappear before the first audio clip played. But Kandi didn't look at her. She didn't look at anyone. She kept her eyes locked on Todd, the man who tried to break her, as she said the 7 words that turned the reunion into a mass meltdown. If you want the truth, here it is. What followed was betrayal, confession, exposure, a man collapsing, a woman reclaiming her power live, a marriage ending with a sound that echoed across every corner of the internet. Tonight, Kandi didn't speak her truth. She played it, live. And nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever be the same after this. Buckle up, because what unfolded inside that Bravo reunion studio wasn't drama, it was devastation. A slow-burning tragedy that turned into a full-blown execution, the kind of emotional collapse that makes even the harshest reality TV scandals look small. No judge, no lawyers, no filters. Just a stage, a broken marriage, and a truth so vicious that the room itself felt like it was gasping for air. And standing right in the center of that collapsing universe was Kandi Burruss, calm, steady, and carrying receipts sharp enough to cut through every lie Todd Tucker spent years hiding behind. Todd walked in like a ghost of himself. Shoulders dropped, eyes swollen, breathing heavy and uneven. This wasn't the Todd who once boasted confidence and control. This was a man stripped of power, stripped of excuses, and stripped of every story he ever tried to spin. His voice trembled before he even reached the center carpet. He didn't sit. He didn't breathe. He fell straight into apology mode, whispering broken pieces of sentences that felt more like confessions than regrets. He tried to speak softly, hoping softness would save him. Please, please Kandi, just listen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I lost myself. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. But the studio wasn't listening. The cast wasn't listening. The cameras weren't listening. And Kandi, the woman who once defended him against the world, wasn't just done listening. She was done pretending. She didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She didn't lean back. Instead, she reached into her bag with a steady, terrifying calmness, the kind of calm that only appears when heartbreak has boiled into clarity. Her fingers wrapped around a black phone, the kind of device that doesn't hold messages or memories. It holds evidence. Evidence dangerous enough to end reputations, end narratives, end illusions, end marriages. Todd froze. Portia swallowed a sob. The entire room leaned forward without breathing. Kandi lifted the phone slowly, like a final verdict. No theatrics. No speeches. Just justice. And when she connected it to the mic, something shifted. A tension so loud it drowned out the lights. Everyone knew they were about to witness something irreversible, the destruction of a man who thought he was untouchable. The first sound was Todd's voice. Calm. Confident. Cruel. Portia, stop worrying. Kandi doesn't know anything. Once the divorce goes through, everything will be easy. I promise you that. Even before the next words played, the room recoiled. Portia's hands covered her mouth as she tried to disappear into her seat. She didn't deny it. She didn't fight it. She didn't argue. She just sat there, the guilt sinking deeper into her skin with every second. Then Todd's laughter echoed through the speakers, a laughing confession of a man who believed his secrets would stay buried. Relax. I've fooled her for years. Any other woman would have caught me, but not her. Not Kandi. The audience gasped so loudly it drowned out the audio. Todd shook his head violently, whispering, no, 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 please, that's not, but his own words were playing on loop, framing him like a villain in his own horror story. Kandi didn't address him. She didn't look at him. She simply tapped the next file. The second audio clip was worse. Colder. More vicious. A woman's voice cracked through the speakers. You said you'd leave Portia too. You told me I was the real one. Another woman followed. You said you were done with Kandi months before you even filed anything. A third voice laughed bitterly. You said Portia was just temporary fun. And now we're all hearing the same story. Then Todd's voice punched through all of them. I'll handle everyone. One by one, I'll shut them all up. Kandi will never know. What can she even do? She's too busy saving her image. The room exploded in chaos. Cast members covered their mouths. Viewers in the live chat spiraled into meltdown. Even the judge watching from backstage texted producers for confirmation that what he heard was real. Todd stumbled forward, falling to his knees. Kandi, please don't do this. This is being twisted. But then the third tape began. This one wasn't audio. This one wasn't voices. This one was truth. A video appeared on the studio screen, Todd in a hotel lobby with another woman. His hands on her waist. His lips near her neck. His arms around her body. The kind of intimacy he never showed Kandi in their final months together. And then the elevator doors closed, capturing one last sentence as they vanished inside. Kandi won't ever know. She thinks she's saving her marriage. I'm just saving myself. The silence that followed wasn't normal silence. It was the silence of hearts breaking, of illusions dying, of a man finally facing the weight of the lies he built. Portia stood up, shaking uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her face. She whispered, I didn't know about the others. I didn't know. Then she ran off the stage, unable to handle the truth she had become a part of. Todd crawled forward, grabbing the edge of Kandi's dress. He cried harder than the lights could hide. Kandi, please. I'm sorry. Don't show them anything else. Please. I'm begging you. She didn't step back. She didn't react. She didn't raise her voice. She said one sentence, a sentence so final, so heavy, that the entire Bravo universe felt it in their bones. You planned to break me. Today, I free myself. No threats. No anger. No chaos from her end. Just closure. She unplugged the phone, turned around, walked off the stage with her dignity, her truth, and her power, leaving Todd collapsed in the center like the broken truth he tried to hide. The cast didn't move. The audience didn't clap. The cameras didn't dare cut away. This wasn't drama. This was destruction. A marriage ending on live television with the kind of brutal truth that leaves no survivors and no second chances. And everyone watching knew one thing. The story wasn't over. It had just begun. The moment Kandi stepped off that stage, everyone thought the nightmare was over. They thought Todd had finally been exposed, the truth had finally been spoken, and the reunion had finally delivered its most brutal moment in Bravo history. But what nobody realized, not the cast, not the producers, not even the live audience, was that the real collapse, the real unraveling, was only beginning the moment the cameras tried to cut to break. Because Todd Tucker didn't accept silence. He didn't accept consequences. And he definitely didn't accept losing control of the story he'd built his image on. From the corner of the stage, where he remained kneeling, Todd lifted his head like a man waking up inside a burning building. His face was streaked with tears, but his eyes were something darker, pure panic, pure fear, pure desperation wrapped in a thin thread of denial. He wiped his face with shaking hands and forced himself to stand, legs trembling under the weight of everything he had just been exposed for. His first instinct wasn't to apologize. His first instinct wasn't to think about Kandi. His first instinct was to look straight into the nearest camera, as if the audience at home was his last lifeline. This isn't fair, he whispered, voice cracking. This is being taken out of context. You don't know the whole story. But the problem was clear. The whole story had already played. The tapes were real. The video was undeniable. The words were his own. Producers tried to usher him backstage, but Todd jerked away like a cornered animal. His hands were still trembling, but now they were clenched into fists, not in anger, but in the terrifying realization that he had finally lost the power he always believed he owned. Meanwhile, behind the stage curtain, Kandi stood with her arms crossed tightly against her chest, breathing shallow, controlled breaths. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't crying. She wasn't breaking apart. She looked like someone who had finally put down a weight she had been carrying for years. Beside her, crew members avoided eye contact, unsure if they should comfort her or simply give her space. Nobody dared ask her if she was okay. Nobody dared come closer. She didn't need pity, and she didn't want it. She had chosen truth over silence, and truth had scorched every inch of that stage. Then suddenly, a loud crash erupted behind her. Todd had kicked open the backstage door. Security rushed forward, but he lifted his hands to show he wasn't trying to fight. His voice cracked as he spoke through gasps. Kandi, just give me 1 minute, please. Just one. Let me explain. I never wanted it to get this far. The producers froze the feed. The studio fell into a suffocating pause, unsure whether this was going to turn into a meltdown, an apology, or another explosion. Kandi didn't move. She didn't blink. Her silence alone was enough to make Todd's voice collapse on itself. "Why would you do this to me?" he said, barely getting the words out. "Why would you play all that in front of everyone? You could have talked to me privately." Kandi finally turned her head, just enough to meet his eyes, but nothing about her expression softened. "You talked privately," she said in a calm, controlled voice. "You whispered privately. You lied privately. You cheated privately. You manipulated privately. So I corrected the record publicly." Todd's knees buckled again. Not from pain, but from the crushing reality that there was nothing left to protect him. No narrative. No excuses. No spin. Not even Portia, who remained locked in a dressing room down the hall, crying into her hands, unable to face the aftermath of the mess she was dragged into and the humiliation she never saw coming. Todd tried again, voice breaking, words stumbling over each other. "I wasn't myself. I was confused. I was angry. I was hurt. You were distant. I didn't know how to handle it." But Kandi stepped forward with a cold, steady power that made the entire room fall silent. "You were distant," she said softly, but firmly. "I was loyal. You were cheating. I was trusting. You were plotting. I was building a family. You were building secrets." Todd's breathing hitched. His body shook. His hands grabbed at the air as if he could somehow catch the version of his life that had just slipped through his fingers. "That's not who I really am," he whispered. Kandi cut him off. "That's exactly who you are," she said. "Because everything on those tapes, everything in that video, those weren't accidents. Those weren't moments. That was you, Todd. Not for a day, not for a week, but for years." Todd stumbled back against the wall as if the truth itself had pushed him. "You think I didn't know something was wrong?" Kandi continued. "You think I didn't feel it every time you pulled away? Every time you came home late? Every time you lied about stupid things just to practice lying for the big ones?" She paused, swallowing hard, as if finally allowing herself one real moment of pain. "I gave you years," she said. "You gave me excuses." The producers were frozen. Security was frozen. Even the sound crew, tucked into the back corner with headsets, stopped breathing. And then, unexpectedly, Todd laughed. Not joy. Not mockery. A broken, defeated, terrified laugh. The sound of a man who had just realized his entire world was burning, and he had no way to stop it. "So what now?" he said, voice shaking. "You're going to ruin my name? My life? Everything I built? You're going to make sure people only see me as a villain." Kandi didn't let him finish. "I didn't make you a villain," she said. "You did. The tapes didn't lie. The camera didn't lie. The women didn't lie. You lied. Over and over and over." Todd's smile faded. He slid down the wall, collapsing onto the floor like someone who no longer had strength to pretend or perform. His chest rose and fell in uneven rushes, like he was running out of air. "I loved you," he whispered. "You loved what I gave you," Kandi corrected. "There's a difference." The room was suffocating. A single tear slipped down Todd's cheek, not for her, but for himself, for the downfall he could no longer escape. Then the producer's voice came through the intercom. 30 seconds. Cameras back on. Todd looked up in horror. "Kandi, please, don't go back out there. Please don't let them see me like this." But Kandi turned away, walked toward the stage lights waiting for her, and with the quiet strength of a woman who had finally survived the truth, she whispered, "They've already seen you." And as she stepped back under the blinding glow of the reunion lights, alone, unbroken, unapologetic, the world waited to hear what she would say next. The storm wasn't over. It was just getting started. When the cameras came back on, the studio didn't feel like a reunion anymore. It felt like the aftermath of a natural disaster, debris everywhere, silence heavy, people sitting stiff and stunned like they were afraid even breathing too loudly might break whatever fragile air was left. The lights dimmed into focus, but nothing could brighten the tension sitting in that room. Kandi Burruss stepped into the frame with that same terrifying calm that had already shaken the entire franchise to its core, while Todd Tucker remained somewhere backstage, collapsed in a mess of guilt, panic, and heartbreak he could no longer hide. The host tried speaking, but his voice cracked as soon as he opened his mouth. Even he wasn't prepared for what they were witnessing, a marriage dying in real time, with receipts sharper than any dialogue reality television had ever captured. He took a breath, steadied himself, and carefully turned back to Kandi, who stood like a storm holding its final lightning bolt. "Kandi, if you want to continue, you can. If you need a break." She shook her head once. Firm. Controlled. Unshakable. "No break," she said softly. "There's more the world needs to know." The audience reacted with a ripple of gasps and stunned whispers. Everyone assumed the reveal was finished. Everyone thought the worst had already happened. But something in the way Kandi stood, spine straight, shoulders squared, eyes burning with clarity, made it clear she hadn't shown everything yet. There was still truth left. And truth, at this point, was more dangerous than any tape, any rumor, any storyline Bravo had ever aired. The host swallowed hard. "Whenever you're ready." Kandi reached for the phone again, and the room turned to ice. The moment she lifted it, Todd's voice echoed from backstage, a cracked, broken panic, the kind of sound that makes even the strongest person freeze. "Kandi, please. Please stop. Don't." Security held him back, but his voice carried, raw and trembling. He knew exactly what was coming next. He knew what she hadn't played yet. And he knew this final piece wasn't just damaging, it was irreversible. Kandi didn't look back. She didn't acknowledge him. She simply tapped the screen. A video began to play. Not audio, not women, not hotel lobbies. This time, it was Todd, alone, talking directly to the camera, not knowing it was recording. He was sitting on the corner of a hotel bed, drink in hand, phone in the other, ranting into a voice memo he probably meant to delete. His tone wasn't sad. It wasn't confused. It was cold, calculating, almost proud. "You know what the crazy part is? She'll never leave," Todd said, running a hand over his face. "Kandi cares too much about what people think. She'll protect the image before she protects herself." The audience gasped in disgust. He continued, laughing bitterly. "I could tell her the truth about Portia, about the other women, about everything. She still wouldn't walk away. She's too used to being the hero. She thinks leaving me makes her look weak. That's why this works. That's why I win." The room froze. Even the cameras felt like they were holding their breath. Kandi lowered her eyes briefly, not in shame, but in the heartbreaking recognition of how deeply she had been manipulated. When she looked up again, her voice didn't shake. "That's who he really is," she said. "Not the man begging backstage. Not the man crying in front of you. This one. The one who knew exactly what he was doing." Before anyone could respond, before the host could move, before the studio could process the shock, Todd's voice screamed again from the hallway. "Kandi, stop it. Please. That wasn't me." But Kandi wasn't finished. She tapped the final clip. This one was short, just 8 seconds. Todd's voice, cold and sharp. "If she ever finds these files, I'll just twist the story. I always do." Gasps. Cries. People covering their mouths. Even cast members were shaking, genuinely shaking, unable to process how far the manipulation had gone. The host tried to speak again, voice tight. "Kandi, after everything you've shown, after everything we've heard, what do you want people to understand about all of this?" Kandi inhaled deeply, the weight of years finally lifting from her body. "I want them to know I stayed quiet for too long," she said. "I kept covering for him. I kept believing promises that didn't exist. I kept choosing the family I wanted over the reality I was living in. And in the process, I lost myself." Her voice softened, not weak, human. "This isn't about revenge. This is about truth. And truth should never destroy the person telling it." Before she could continue, Todd suddenly broke free from security, stumbling into the studio lights. His face was red, wet with tears, breath crashing out of his chest like he was drowning. "Kandi. Kandi, please, don't leave me. I swear I'll fix it. I swear I'll change. I swear." He didn't get the chance to finish. She turned to him with a calmness that silenced him instantly. "I'm not leaving you," she said gently. "I already left." And that sentence, that quiet, devastating sentence, hit Todd harder than any tape, any video, any exposure. He dropped his head, shoulders collapsing inward like the truth had finally swallowed him whole. The studio didn't move. The audience didn't blink. The cast didn't breathe. Kandi stepped past him, walked to center stage, and faced the camera directly, like she wasn't talking to Todd anymore. She was talking to every person watching at home, every person who had loved someone who broke them. Every person who stayed longer than they should have, every person who carried silence when they deserved honesty. "I gave the world the truth," she said simply. "Now I'm giving myself peace." The lights dimmed. The camera shook. The Bravo universe shattered. And, just like that, Kandi Burruss walked off the stage free, leaving behind the ruins of a man who thought he would never be caught, a marriage built on illusions, and a nation watching in stunned, breathless silence as the truth delivered its final blow. This wasn't closure. This was rebirth. They thought the noise would die down. They thought the public would move on. But this story isn't fading, it's detonating. Every hour, new screenshots appear, new witnesses speak up, and new cracks rip through the carefully polished image they tried to protect. The truth isn't slipping anymore. It's flooding through every doorway they kept locked. People are demanding answers. Timelines don't match. Statements keep shifting. The whispers behind the scenes have grown too loud to ignore, and the reactions online are turning into a full-scale eruption. Fans aren't arguing anymore. They're analyzing, dissecting, pulling apart every detail with a rage that can't be silenced. The courtroom atmosphere has spilled onto the internet. Every comment reads like a verdict. Every repost feels like a warning shot. And every unanswered question becomes another reason for the world to doubt everything they've heard so far. The pressure around them is tightening, and you can almost feel the crack before it finally snaps. So now the choice is theirs: stay silent and let the world burn down their narrative, or finally speak before the truth hits them harder than any headline. Because the audience isn't waiting politely anymore. They want clarity. They want justice. They want the real story, without filters, without edits, without fear. If you feel this story deserves the light they tried to bury, don't just watch, make noise. Push it. Share it. Let this conversation reach the people who never wanted it to exist. Because once the truth starts moving, nothing can stop it. And right now, it's moving faster than they ever expected.